In Dodrio's Sea Spray, two of the heads are angry while the other one's sad. Hope the sad one's okay. Dodrio is one of the most dangerous physical attackers in GSC Undiosed. With 110 attack, 100 speed, and normal stab, it's not hard to see why. Dodrio is a fast and powerful offensive Pokemon whose stab type is scarcely resisted. Dodrio 3 KOs everything in GSC Undiosed that doesn't resist normal. Period. There is not a single Pokemon it doesn't 3 KO. Its sheer strength means it scores several 2 KOs as well. Unless you have a Rock or Steel type, switching into Dodrio is a serious pain. Its high speed also means it can revenge kill Pokemon like Pinsir and Mr. Mime. Dodrio is also quite versatile. It can branch out from its standard Rest Talk set and use options like Thief or even Endure plus Flail. While Dodrio can be checked by Pokemon like Nidoqueen and Reflect Hypno, one crit and they are toast. Switching into Dodrio is just a serious pain. Despite this though, Dodrio isn't one of the best Pokemon in GSCUU. It's merely good. It has several problems holding it back. Dodrio has incredible potential when used effectively though. Let's analyse the triple bird Pokemon. Wait, what? There's only one bird here. While Dodrio's defensive stats are very unimpressive, its attack and speed are the complete opposite. Dodrio has one of the highest attack stats of anything in the tier. It is also one of the fastest Pokemon in the tier. Dodrio outspeeds already fast offensive Pokemon, including Mr. Mime, Haunter, and Pinsir. Dodrio is solid at revenge killing these Pokemon, as well as Nidoqueen and Gyarados thanks to its sheer strength. While its attack stat is not as high as Granbull's, Dodrio is actually stronger than the Bull. Its double edge hits harder than Granbull's return, thanks to its higher base power. Dodrio is one of the most difficult Pokemon to switch into. As mentioned earlier, it 3 KOs everything that doesn't resist double edge. Dodrio is able to threaten common walls, like Granbull, Hypno, and Blastoise. It deals huge damage to common offensive Pokemon, like Mr. Mime, Gyarados, Piloswine, and Nidoqueen. Dodrio outspeeds almost everything too, so switching into it is even harder. It can just KO you before you even have a chance to react. The few Pokemon who outspeed Dodrio, like Scyther and Electabuzz, are also poor at switching in. Bikes make it even easier for Dodrio to wall break, giving it extra chip damage that can seal the deal versus Nidoqueen and Piloswine. The only common Pokemon who resist normal in this tier are Haunter, Omastar, Magneton, and Shuckle. Haunter is the most common normal resist, but it's actually not an answer to Dodrio. Dodrio outspeeds Haunter and is guaranteed to 2 KO it with Drill Peck. Magneton and Shuckle are also difficult to fit on teams, and the former loses to Hidden Power ground variants. Dodrio is a massive pain for teams that use Haunter as their normal check, which is to say, quite a lot of them. Dodrio can freely spam Double Edge, because the only normal resist they have is 2 KO'd by Drill Peck. Speaking of Drill Peck, it lets Dodrio 2 KO Scyther, Pinsir, and the tier's grass types. If healthy, Dodrio can tank an attack from Scyther and deal massive damage in return, thanks to Drill Peck. Drill Peck also makes Dodrio one of the best answers to Pinsir. Dodrio's most common set is a Rest Talk set, since Rest Talk lets it shrug off status on Pokemon like Hypno and grass types. Rest Talk also makes Dodrio better at switching into moves like Hypno Psychic. Dodrio has guaranteed good Sleep Talk pulls against most foes due to Double Edge and Drill Peck. Dodrio can also use an Endure plus Flail set though, and man can it be scary. If it gets the right matchup, this set is almost impossible to stop. A 200 base power Flail thrashes basically everything after spikes, unless they resist normal. This set is very inconsistent though. Omastar and Shuckle still handle it, Haunter can tank an attack and KO, and faster Pokemon can revenge kill it, including Electabuzz, who pursues you as you try to switch out. Dodrio also fails to OHKO certain Pokemon unless they are heavily chipped, like Blastoise and Nidoqueen. Dodrio can also run Thief, stealing leftovers from the likes of Piloswine and making them easier to break. It has room for Hidden Power ground in this set too, which destroys Magneton and deals good chip damage to Kabutops. Dodrio, unsurprisingly, fits best onto offensive teams. It's a good wall breaker and revenge killer, so these teams really appreciate it. Some people have used it with Light Screen Hypno, but don't even bother. Just slot onto an offensive team as a basic wall breaker. Unfortunately, Dodrio has some major downsides. While it fares well into teams that use Haunter as their normal resist, it doesn't fare nearly as well into teams of Omastar and Shuckle. As long as either is alive, Dodrio isn't doing anything. Dodrio's bulk and typing are also poor. Pretty much everything 3 KOs it at worst, with several Pokemon 2 KOing it. Its typing leaves with weaknesses to Ice, Electric, and Rock. Electric is a very common attacking type in this tier, and Pokemon like Lantern, Electabuzz, and Ampharos target Dodrio with it. The incredibly common Piloswine is also capable of threatening Dodrio. While Dodrio is incredibly dangerous, it doesn't have many opportunities to switch in. Against offensive teams, it usually only comes in after a sacrifice, or if you want to pair it with Screens or Subpass. It's not even that good at switching into Hypno, since Hypno can annoy it with Thunder Wave or Reflect. Dodrio is also checked quite well by Moonlight Nidoqueen and Slowbro. Dodrio faces competition from the 2 best Pokemon in the tier, Granbull and Scyther. While Granbull is much slower, it has an easier time getting onto the field, and it provides much more defensive utility. Curse Talk Granbull is able to check an insane amount of the tier, while Dodrio can't check much of anything. Scyther gives it a competition as an offensive flying type due to Sword Stance. Scyther is more consistently dangerous than Dodrio due to its better bulk and its general brokenness. Grabbing a Sword Stance with Scyther is more valuable than grabbing a free turn to Double Edge with Dodrio. You can pair Scyther with Dodrio, but good luck having a team that isn't bad then. Fitting Dodrio onto teams is a pain in the ass, and most of the time it's not even that worth it. Dodrio isn't a bad Pokemon, but it's not a great one either. It's a shame, because Dodrio was a great Pokemon for years. In fact, it was one of the best Pokemon. Dodrio was an absolute terror in the olden days of GSC underused. Back then, the tier was much less developed and explored, so teams were much less prepared for Dodrio. Omastar and Shuckle, aka the 2 best Dodrio answers, were also non-existent at the time. Dodrio was an excellent wall breaker with very few answers. While Nidoqueen and Slowbro could answer it, they would be put to bed with a single crit. Dodrio was seen as one of the tier's best Pokemon until 2018, when the first UUPL with GSC underused happened. After this tour, where Dodrio continued to be excellent, it started to decline. Omastar greatly rose up in usage around this time, which is horrible for Dodrio. Shuckle also rose up in 2021, which didn't help it then either. The tier began being explored more too, and people realised Dodrio wasn't as good as they first thought. It was rather inconsistent and it provided little defensive utility. With every GC underused tour, Dodrio's usage sinks ever lower.